So here I am running for the U.S. House as an independent, and the name of Gus Jaccaci. And the reason and the sentence that is my motivation and my tagline is, Vermont is the state to reinvent the United States. And that idea comes from a wonderful person. She lived to be 100 years and a couple of months. Her name was Marion Leonard out of Rochester, Vermont. Used to be a teacher at Putney, her husband was. And she was at a lecture one day at the Vermont Law School, as was I. And there was a man from Germany who came over to talk about green taxation and all the progress they had made in Germany. And after he'd done speaking for about an hour and a half, everyone clapped, and he sat down up on the podium up there, and up on the roster, and then there was a silence. And then this little tiny lady, and I didn't know her at the time, stood up, and named Marion Leonard. And she just said one sentence, and she was so small you couldn't tell whether she was sitting or standing. But she was standing, and she said, "Vermont is the state to reinvent the United States." And then she sat down. And there was a moment of silence. You couldn't hear anything in the room. And then all of a sudden, everybody in the room stood up and gave her a standing ovation, a roar of applause. And what that little lady had done is she had taken the pulse and found the soul of Vermont and said it in one sentence: Vermont is the state to reinvent the United States. And as I go around and say that to people, their eyes get bright and they say, "You bet we are. You bet we're going to do it." Yes, they say, yes, that is it. So that's why I'm running, for that sentence and to make it happen. And I think there's more good stuff going on here in Vermont than there is in Washington. So if I get elected, my job is to go down there and tell Vermont stories to the nation about sensible behavior, about environmental, wonderful sanctity of nature out there. We got plenty of Vermont stories like good maple syrup that'll make everybody wise and happy. And that would be my role, to help Vermont reinvent the United States. So there.